started some 50 years ago as a pastor in a small church. There must have been mistakes along the way. What was your greatest failure as a leader, and what did you learn out of it?
Well, there are a lot of mistakes, obviously. Still are. What I've learned as you get older, it's not a fact that you stop making mistakes, but if you have really matured and learned well, as you get older, you just learn more from your mistakes. The value of failure or mistakes is always not so much the mistake as what did it teach you, what did you learn from it. So in the beginning, as a young leader, I made a lot of mistakes. I thought that leadership was positional, and because I had a leadership position, I thought that would allow people to follow me, but I found that they follow influence, not title or not position. And so very quickly I began to learn that my ability to increase and develop my influence with people would really determine how well I led them and how many I led. Just in the beginning, as I would make mistakes, I would constantly ask myself very simply, what am I learning? What am I learning? And if I'm learning something, a mistake is a very valuable, wonderful thing. If you're learning nothing from it, of course, it's not good.
So over the years, in terms of being a great leader, what has changed and what hasn't?
Everything's changed. And what I mean by that is the fact that if you're growing, you're continually evolving. And if you're growing, you're changing. It's impossible to grow without having changes in your life. Many things changed in my leadership. In the beginning, I felt that because I had that title or position, people would follow me, and I found that wasn't true. I felt that as a young leader that if I was a good leader, people would like me, and I found that wasn't always true, that you have to make some very difficult decisions. When I started developing a team, I thought that they were there to help me instead of understanding that really I was there to help develop them, and if I could help and develop them, they would get better and develop more. And I just slowly learned. When I was 40, I developed the law of the inner circle. Those closest to me will determine the level of my success. So I began to pour myself into them. So it's been a long, continual process, of which today I'm still changing, still learning.
What is that one quality that you are working on right now?
I wish it was simple as working on just one quality.
How many?
Yeah, there. The people ask me continually, "What is my greatest leadership challenge?" And I said, leading myself. That's my greatest challenge. Leading others is simple. You just tell them what to do. But to lead yourself, you've got to practice what you preach. You've got to make sure that your behavior comes alongside of your beliefs. And so in my own life, I'm continually growing. I'm continually learning, which means I'm continually changing and adjusting. So in my life, I look at that and I say, okay, the only guarantee that I have that tomorrow's going to get better is that I'm continually growing today. It's the only guarantee. And so in a leader's life, there's no place to settle. There's no place to be satisfied because no matter how well we do today, we can do better tomorrow. And so I think that high expectation that a person has of himself or herself as a leader is really essential, because you can only lead people as high as you have gone, and you cannot give what you do not have. And so I think the consistent intentional growth in a person's life is got to be right at the top of their priority.
I think you just now you mentioned that along the lines that growth is the only guarantee that tomorrow will get better. But at the same time, growth is also the only guarantee that today is tough for that better tomorrow. So I mean, you are having a tough today, hoping that tomorrow will be better. So how do we make sure that the trade-off is worth it? How do we know whether the trade-off is worth it?
When we talk about growth, we have to understand that if we're truly growing, we're out of our comfort zone, because we're doing things we've never done. We're learning things we haven't learned. We're experiencing things we haven't. So growth creates an environment for us to be stretching and out of our comfort zone. And what I tell people is when you've been out of your comfort zone for a long time, you become comfortable in being out of your comfort zone because it's what you know and it's who you are. And in fact, if you're not stretching, if you're not growing, you get a sense of being uncomfortable because you find that you're settling and you're not moving forward like you really want to.
So in this digital age, what must be done differently as a leader when everything's so fast moving and people are talking about agility and transformation? Is there, as a leader, how do you lead people in this transformation phase?
First of all, if I want people to be transformed, I have to be transformed. Again, people do what people see. So for me to help you to be transformational in your life and your leadership, you catch it as much as you learn it. And so when you're exposed to a transformational leader, one that's been transformed, it begins to catch in your life too. So the first responsibility for me to be a transformational leader is to be transformed personally. And once my life has changed, I become contagious. And I begin a contagious cycle. My life has been changed, so I come and share with you that your life could be changed and you see the difference and you want that, and that cycle begins to increase and begins to include in others. But transformation is only possible through action and application. You don't learn your way, study your way, even think your way to transformation. You have to act your way. So transformation begins when I've been changed, and I've been changed because I live good values and practice those good values, and then I begin to share those and teach those to others.
So in terms of Gen Ys and the millennials, a lot has been talked about them, wanting fast results. Are there any difference from the past generations?
Well, everything's getting faster. I mean, it's not slowing down at all. When people kind of look at the future and say, well, I can hardly wait for things to settle, I want to tell them they're not going to settle. The speed is going to increase fast, it's going to be faster, and forward's going to be shorter. And yet at the same time that we're in such a speed culture, it's important for us to, again, ask ourselves, who am I? And begin to understand and embrace and practice our values. Roy Disney said one time, decision making is easy if you know what your values are. So in a fast culture, you can make fast decisions if you yourself are settled and you yourself have embraced those values within your life. So I think that you need to be steady on the inside so that you can be quick and strong on the outside.
What are the top 3 qualities a person possesses that will give you a hint that this guy is going to be a great leader or this lady is going to be a great leader?
Well, when I look at a person as far as are they a potential leader, the first thing I look for is are they able to get things accomplished? Very simply, if the person I'm looking at is unable to produce for themselves and accomplish much for themselves, they have very low odds of helping others produce and accomplish much. So the first thing I look for is not what that person has done for others, but what that person is able to accomplish personally themselves. So one is, are they accomplishing something? Are they successful? Are they fruitful in their life? The second thing I look for is, do they have influence? In other words, are other people attracted to them, either by what they've done or by what they've said? Because you can't lead people if you don't influence those people. So it's one thing to be able to get things accomplished, but it's much another thing entirely to be able to influence people also to you so that you can really lead them and lead them. And the third thing I then began to ask, and this is, I think, the most difficult. The first one, what have they accomplished, is right in front of you. They either have or haven't. But this third one and that is, what's their growth capacity? Are they committed to becoming better and developing more? And you can tell if a person's committed to growth. What you can't tell is what their potential for growth is. But so I say, okay, Are they committed to growing? And if they're committed to personal growth, they influence others, and they have the ability to get things done, then I think, okay, I've got a potential leader there.
In the insurance context, there are many successful agents and advisors who can focus on selling and who do not move into being a leader or a manager. So how do they decide whether I'm suitable to be a leader or not?
Well, I think everybody's a leader. I just think they're not official. If you influence one person, you're leading that person. I don't think the question is, do I have influence? The question I think I have is, do I want to have more influence? In other words, if I'm influencing 5 people, would I like to influence 10? And I think the decision to increase your level of influence, as far as how many and what level that you lead people on, determines how good of a leader that you're going to be. And so most of us have discovered that you can get very little accomplished unless you do it with people and through people. And if that's the case, then I have to be able to influence those people to do it with me and to do it together. And once we can do that, of course, then we're successful.
How about for followers and team members? You may be trying your best to be a leader, but they may not follow what you are saying, or they may not follow your leadership. Could the problem sometimes be your team members and your followers instead of the leader?
Most of the time, if people on your team aren't following you, you're not a good leader. What I find happen is that when they don't follow, most often that leader begins to use their title or their position. They'll say, well, now wait a minute, I'm the boss, I'm the supervisor. They should follow you because they want to, that you have influence with them.